Hello my friends! In this video I'll show you how easy it is to paint a forest. At the beginning we're going to place the horizon line. Of course it doesn't have to be a proper line, just a line to suggest a separation in between the sky and the water that is underneath. And now with white I'm dragging down the color. And afterwards, I go with short horizontal line in order to create a texture that looks like water and also to create few reflections. I'm finalizing the corners, I'm adding more color here, and then with a dark purple I'm adding few bushes. For the sky, I will repeat the same thing that I did. It's just that this time I'm going to drag the color up instead of dragging it down. In order to suggest that there is some vegetation somewhere far in the distance, I'm going to apply first few darker strokes and then I'm going to blend it up to create that illusion that it's something far. And of course, painting, it's a process of layering and then put more accents and then put more color until we're happy with the way it looks like. My sky will be covered by the trees, so in order to create a background for the trees, first I'm going to apply a brighter color. This is a very light purple, and then I'm going to blend it up with a darker purple. I want to apply the darker colors in the corners, and I want to keep the middle part brighter, so that will reflect better the trees that I will add in a bit. I'm adding a transparent white in order to add more brightness and to enhance the middle part of my composition. For the next part of my painting, I'm going to use a very thin brush because this time I'm going to use mostly the tip of my brush because I want to get very thin, very precise and very soft lines. Here I am putting a few accents and then I will sketch my trees. Painting trees, it's very easy and it's very fun. Here we have to be creative when we place the branches. We have to put it in all the direction, all the shapes. For example, this tree, it's a little inclined, then it's a straight one. I'm adding a few more branches and of course few highlights. They always look good. And now I am moving to another area. Here I'm going to place a tree, of course with few branches, and another tree. I'm going to put here some curly branches and the branches overlap. Later on we will add some leaves on top, so that's why I'm not going too far with my trees. Okay, now I'm working on the left side and I'm doing the same thing. I'm placing a few trees. Here it's a group of 4. and actually let's make it a 5. Another tree right here, and another one, and so on until the entire area is filled with different trees that have different directions and with few branches. Now I will add another row of trees, but this time I'm going to use a darker color in order to suggest that these trees are closer to us. Here I'm using a dark purple, and in order to create this color I mixed blue, red and black. You can use just black, but if you feel that it's too strong, then it's a good idea to mix the black with a little purple, so that will create a little bit of softness and it won't look very, very harsh. Now I am adding more trees in the same way that I add the first line of trees, and I'm also using the same color to suggest a reflection. Okay, and I'm also defining a little bit the horizontal line, adding a few bushes right here and more accents. For the other side, I'm going to add a few more trees. This is the first one, and I will add a few branches just for dynamic. Okay, and I will add one more here. Of course, when we paint, it's okay to go back and forth to areas that you already painted if you feel that you need to add an accent, or if you feel that a line was misplaced, or if you want to correct something. Is it okay to always go back and forth to things that you did in the past? So that's why you're gonna see my brush moving from one area to the other, because I feel that I need to put a little accent here and a little one here, and then I change my mind and then I add another one in a different place. I'm sketching the reflection using the same color, and I'm moving from one tree to the other. And for the trees that are far back, I'm doing the same thing, but I'm using a lighter purple. And for the final part of this painting, I'm adding the leaves. As you already noticed, I already changed my brush. I'm using the same brush that I used at the beginning when I painted the water and the sky. And I'm using the dark purple that I used before, that mix of blue, red, and just a tiny bit of black. Now what I'm doing, I'm gently dabbing around, and my brush allows me to create that texture that is very close to the leaves. I like the irregularities that my brush it's doing here, so I'm going to keep it a little negligent. Keep in mind that you don't have to follow a certain pattern when we're doing trees, and each tree has its own individuality and its own shape. There are trees that are more skinny, there are trees that have more leaves than the other. There are trees that allow more light to shine through them. So in order to keep a variety, we're gonna alternate a little bit of the color, but we're gonna leave a little part of the sky so we can see through. It's time to add some highlights, and for this I'm using my small brush, and with just white I'm adding dots and lines to suggest texture on my trees. I'm adding the highlights only on the darker trees. And now I'm moving on the other side, and I'm doing the same thing, just few accents. This is the funniest part of my painting. I'm adding all sorts of dots, and for this I'm using the same brush, I'm using white, and I'm putting dots all over. Now the secret here is to use different pressure. When I want bigger dots, I put more pressure on my brush, and when I want smaller brush, I just barely touch it. So it's like a game here where you just play around and you add dots everywhere. Even if some dots will be one on top of the other and will create a funny shape, that's okay. It looks nice with a lot of dots. And I'm doing the same thing on the other side. Now I'm adding splashes on top of my dots, and you're gonna see me covering a part of my painting because I don't want the splashes to go everywhere. I just want them to remain mostly where are the leaves. And as I mentioned before, a painting it's never done until you do those little touch-ups where you go back and forth to the areas that you painted before and you say in your mind, okay, what do I need to add here to make it even prettier? Or what exactly I'm missing here? So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm adding few more accents, I'm changing few shapes in order to enhance the overall look of this painting. And this is my painting with purple trees. Thank you for watching and see you next time with another project. Bye bye!